They didn't think you'd leave. Not really. They thought you'd always be there, waiting, hoping, reaching out first. They saw your consistency as dependence, mistook your patience for weakness. They took your loyalty as something that would never run out. But then, one day, you were just gone. No explanation, no final plea, no dramatic goodbye. Just silence. And it's in that silence that the regret begins. Because the moment you disappear, the illusion shatters. They're no longer in control of how you see them. You're no longer reacting to their games. And for the first time, they have to sit with the consequences of how they treated you. And that's when the first truth hits them hard. They realize that your presence wasn't just convenient background noise. It was an energy, a grounding force. You didn't just fill space, you brought meaning. And now that you're gone, that space feels cold, empty, different. That's the first brutal truth they face. You mattered more than they admitted, even to themselves. The second truth, they realize that attention is not connection, because while they may have found others to text, scroll through, or distract themselves with, none of it feels real. Not like what you gave, not like the way you understood things they never said out loud. The connection they overlooked becomes the connection they now crave, but no longer have access to. And it stings, because they remember the way you cared when no one else did, the way you checked in when the world was too loud, the way you stayed, even when they gave you every reason to walk. And now that you've finally done what they thought you never would, the third truth emerges. They never thought they'd miss you this much. It creeps in slowly, in moments of silence, in the middle of the night, in places that remind them of you. They try to distract themselves. They tell their friends they're fine, but they're not. Because every quiet hour reminds them that you're not reaching out like before. That this silence, it's not temporary, it's intentional. And that's when they realize the fourth truth. You didn't leave because you stopped caring. You left because they did. You left because you finally understood that staying wasn't going to make them value you more. That pouring yourself into someone who's emotionally unavailable doesn't earn you love. It empties you. And instead of staying to prove your worth, you chose to protect it. Now their mind rewinds. They start replaying the things they said, the things they didn't say, the missed moments, the ignored texts, the cold replies, the passive aggression, the way they pushed you away without even noticing, until you were no longer there to pull back in. And just like that, the fifth truth hits them like a wave. They were never the one in control. You were. Because true control isn't loud. It's quiet. It's knowing when to stay. And more importantly, knowing when to go. They thought you stayed because you had no choice. That you were too attached, too forgiving, too afraid of losing them. But now that you're gone, they realize the sixth truth. And it hurts their pride more than anything else. You were choosing them the entire time. Every call you answered, every chance you gave, every time you stayed silent instead of reacting to their games. None of it was weakness. It was strength, discipline, love, the kind they didn't know how to handle. And now that choice is gone. They scroll through your old messages, hoping to feel what they once ignored. They think about reaching out, drafting messages and deleting them. Because the seventh truth is dawning on them. There's nothing left to say. Not because the feelings are gone, but because they know they've already said too much through their silence, their distance, their inaction. Their regret is quiet, but it's constant. They remember how safe they felt around you. Not safe in the way most people use the word, but emotionally safe, seen, accepted. You understood the chaos in their mind before they had words for it. And now, they're surrounded by noise, yet nothing feels real. That's the eighth brutal truth. Not all attention is equal, and not all presence brings peace. Yours did. And now, without it, everything else feels empty. They never saw this version of you coming, the one who doesn't check in, the one who doesn't explain, the one who no longer feels the need to prove anything. That version, that's the one they secretly feared. The version of you that finally respects your own value. And that's the ninth truth. Your silence is louder than anything you could have said. Because silence says, I'm done hoping. Silence says, I've accepted what you refuse to say. Silence says, I no longer need your permission to heal. Now they sit with that silence, and it haunts them, because they know they created it. And the final truth, the 10th one, the one they never thought they'd have to admit. They didn't lose you because of one moment. They lost you because of many small ones. Little dismissals, moments of neglect, jokes that weren't funny, support that never came. They didn't break you all at once. They chipped away at your spirit until one day you woke up and realized, I deserve more than this. And so you left, not to hurt them, not to make them chase you, but to finally return to yourself. And now, in your absence, they realize all the things they should have cherished are gone. The hardest part for them isn't just that you're gone, it's that you left without a warning, without begging, without making it their responsibility to fix what they broke. That kind of exit cuts deep, because it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud, it was quiet, clean, and final. And now they realize what it really means when someone truly moves on. It means no second chances, no late night texts, no door half open, waiting for them to walk back through. You didn't leave them hoping to be chased. You disappeared because you knew you deserved better than confusion, breadcrumbs, and one-sided effort. That understanding came slowly. At first, you questioned yourself. Maybe you were too sensitive, too emotional, too much. But time and clarity showed you that your standards weren't the problem. Their inability to meet them was. And now, as they sit in the wreckage of what they once took for granted, they start to feel it. The weight of the things they never said. The weight of the things they thought you'd always tolerate. They underestimated you. That's what stings the most. They thought you were fragile, but you were just loyal. They thought you'd wait forever, but you were only patient. They thought you'd never leave, but you were simply giving them time to meet you where you stood. They failed to, and you stopped waiting. Now, everything reminds them of you. Not because you're unforgettable in a loud, showy way, but because you became a part of their rhythm. Your voice, your presence, the way you made ordinary moments feel meaningful. They didn't realize it while you were there, but now that you're not, the absence is impossible to ignore. They try to fill the void, distractions, other people, empty conversations, but nothing sticks. Because once you've had real connection, everything else feels hollow. Once you've had someone who listens not just to reply, but to understand, you can't unsee that depth. And that's what they realized too late. What they had with you is rare, not because you're perfect, but because you're real, because your love wasn't performative. It was quiet, grounding, resilient, the kind that doesn't try to impress. It simply shows up, again and again, until it stops. That's what they never expected, that your absence would feel more real than the presence of anyone else, that they would look for you in people who aren't capable of giving what you gave so freely, and every time they fail to find it, the regret deepens. They don't say anything, their pride won't let them, but they think about you, more than you know, more than they admit, not because they want to own you again, but because they finally understand what they lost when you chose peace over performance. And maybe they'll never say it out loud. Maybe they'll never send that message, never confess the full weight of what they feel, never give you the closure they now wish they had the courage to offer. That's fine. You no longer need it, because what they're realizing now, truth by brutal truth, you've already made peace with. You've outgrown the version of yourself that settled for confusion. You've let go of the need to be understood by someone who only saw fragments of you. You've walked away not just from them, but from the part of yourself that needed their love to feel whole. That is the highest form of strength. Not revenge, not silence meant to punish, but the quiet power of self-respect. And that's what Stoicism teaches. Not to suppress, but to master. Not to deny your pain, but to respond to it with clarity and courage. You didn't disappear to hurt them. You disappeared to heal you. And in doing so, you've given them a mirror they can't avoid, a reflection of who they were when they thought your love was guaranteed. And the longer they stare, the more they see the truth. It wasn't your disappearance that caused the pain. It was everything they did before you left. So now, you walk forward, not bitter, not broken, but free. You smile, not because it didn't hurt, but because you survived what tried to hollow you out. You stand taller, not because they see your worth now, but because you finally remembered it yourself. You move on, not to make them regret, but to make yourself whole. Let them live with the truths they now realize. Let them carry the weight of their own choices, because what you're building now, peace, purpose, self-respect, is worth far more than anything they failed to give you. You've disappeared from their world, but you've finally arrived in your own, and that is where you truly belong.